Well, you know what's interesting is I travel around the world and speak. The atheists and the agnostics I meet almost always live in cities. When people are out in the countryside or they're close to nature, particularly close to all the animals that God has created, they believe in God. They see it all around them. It's those of us that are living in these highly urbanized, high-tech cities where we get cut off from nature and then we think, hey, we did this, and not realizing we would have gotten nowhere if God hadn't provided us with all these amazing animals and plants that enable us to be where we are today. So yeah, when I traveled through rural Africa and rural Asia, never met a single atheist. When I go into the big cities, they're everywhere.
So you've also, we all tend to think about, when we think about creation accounts, we tend to think about Genesis chapter 1, chapter 2, God creating the earth. But you've actually done a lot of research in the book of Job, even written a book about Job and about the creation references that are in Job. Just about that for just a minute.
Well, yeah, the book is out there, and what I realized when I was 17 is that Genesis 1 is only one of many creation texts in the Bible. And one of the things that puzzled me reading Genesis 1 is like some really crucial details were left out. But when I got to Job 37, 38, and 39, I realized that's where these details exist. I also recognize that Genesis is not the oldest book in the Bible. Job predates it by at least 500 years, the content of the book of Job. And so there's no need for Moses to repeat what the people already had memorized from the poem that we see in Job. The other thing that struck me about Job is it really focuses on the higher animals, what Genesis 1 refers to as the soulish animals. And you get Job saying, look to the beasts of the field, referring to land mammals, and look to the birds. They'll teach you, they'll instruct you. They'll teach you and instruct you not only about nature, but about you and about God and your relationship with God. So that's why I wrote the book, just to kind of lay out some of the spiritual lessons that Job teaches to his friends that we can gain from these higher animals. Mm-hmm. And again, where people have contact with those animals, many different species, not just dogs and cats, they can see the message of the Lord embedded right in the creatures that he made for us.
And that's one of the resources. If you want to check out when you leave the resource table that's out in the foyer, there'll be people out there that can help you find the type of resource from Dr. Ross's writings that will help you with where you are.
Let me give you a tip.
Go ahead.
This is brand new research that shows that these higher animals have amazing capabilities, but their full capabilities are not recognized until they're bonded to a human being.
Interesting.
When they're bonded to a human being, you see their full potential. Well, there's a message there for us. When we're bonded to a higher being, that releases our full potential. We can see it first in the animals.
Amen. All right, let's dive into the deep end of the pool for just a minute. You've given two, at least in my mind, two powerful evidences about God being a person who is real and personal. And the first of those has to do with dark matter. So can you explain in terms that us average church people can understand what dark matter has to do with a real and personal God?
Right. I'll speak about more of this tonight when I give my talk, but it's in the book of Job, chapter 38, where God asks Job and his friends, do you know where darkness resides? Can you take me to its place? Now, when I was a physics student, I was taught that darkness is simply the absence of light. And that's been in physics textbooks for centuries.
That's what I was taught in school too.
Today we know it's not just the absence of light, it's an actual substance. In fact, the dark stuff of the universe, dark energy and dark matter, makes up 99.73% of all of physical reality.
Wow.
But what we astronomers have discovered, the quantity of that dark stuff must be exquisitely fine-tuned if you're going to get galaxies, stars, and planets. So dark stuff, for example, controls how fast the universe expands. And by the way, the Bible was the first to say we live in an expanding universe. But if you expand it too quickly, all you get is gas. If you expand it too slowly, all you get are black holes and neutron stars. If you want to get galaxies, stars, and planets so that life is possible, you have to fine-tune the quantity of the dark energy, for example, to better than 1 part in 10 to the 122nd place in the index. That's 122 zeros after the 1. And what I'll be sharing tonight is we compare that fine-tuning design to the very best example of human engineering, creativity, inventiveness, and design. It's superior by a factor of 10 trillion times, which means the creator of the universe is at least that many times more intelligent than we are, at least that many times more knowledgeable than we are, and at least that many times better funded than we are.
That is a good thing, amen? We are blessed.
Well, I say that because the big challenge today, physics has advanced to a point that even the atheists amongst us are admitting that deism cannot be avoided. The real battle is this God beyond space and time a personal God? But it's the dark stuff that proves to us it is a personal God, and a degree of personality far beyond what we see in the personalities of the gods of the other religions of the world.
And there's another evidence that you've given in your talks that also really touched me, and I'm not sure that our audience here this morning would know about that evidence, and that is that the particular place that we are right now and being able to observe what God has done.
Well,
Tell us about that for a
it's called the observable anthropic principle. I mean, we astronomers now...
Okay, repeat that for us, just in case people are writing notes and they want to get that down.
Yeah, it's called the observable anthropic principle. And 35 years ago, astronomers discovered that the universe must be exquisitely designed to make possible the existence of human beings. That's the normal anthropic principle. What was recently been discovered is that, for example, if God had created us any earlier in cosmic history, light from the cosmic creation event will not have adequate time to travel on the space surface of the universe and reach our telescope. But if we were created any later, dark energy would speed that radiation away from us at more than the velocity of light. We're living at the only time in cosmic history when we can look out at the entire history of the universe. And the principle here is that distant objects, it takes like time to reach us. So the farther away you look, the farther back in time you see. But we're living at the only moment when we can directly image the creation event. As because of our ability to directly image the cosmic creation event, to see God in the act of creating the universe, that we get our most compelling scientific evidence that a God beyond space and time must have been created. Now, I share this frequently on university campuses with skeptical scientists, and their comment is, that's just a sheer coincidence that we happen to be here at just the right time. And I said, well, here's something else. This is a universe with 50 billion trillion stars in it. We're orbiting the only star where we have a clear enough window that we can look all the way back to the cosmic creation event. How can it be a sheer coincidence that we're simultaneously living at the only time when it's possible to observe all of cosmic history and the only place where we can observe all of cosmic history? The Bible says the heavens declare the glory of God. God wanted us to read the storybook of the universe and made sure we're at the right time and the right place that we could read the entire book, just like he wants us to read all 66 books that make up the Holy Bible.
So I'm kind of gathering this is not something we can just go down to Walmart and get a telescope and look at, right?
No, you'll need a special radio telescope to be able to image the cosmic creation event, one capable of measuring the polarization of the radiation left over from the cosmic creation event. If you look at that polarization, you're actually witnessing the universe when it's 1/100 billionth of a trillionth of a trillionth of a second after the cosmic creation event.
Wow,
that's how close we can get to time equals zero.
Right. All right. So, why, if this evidence is, it seems to me to be so powerful, why is it that there are so many people that are skeptics or atheists? Why do you think that is?
Well, as a pastor, my burden is that I see Christians and churches leading with the weak evidences for the Christian faith and ignoring the strongest evidences. One reason why I'm here is simply to let people know there really are very powerful scientific evidences, not just for God, but the God of the Bible. But I found that most Christians are completely ignorant of these evidences. And what this does is it causes people who are aware of this material to get suspicious of us. They're saying, you Christians are leading with weak evidences. We know you've got better evidences. Why are you not leading with it? And so it's that suspicion that gets them to be a little hesitant towards receiving anything else we have to say. And as a scientist, I can tell you, you really need to lead with your best stuff. And so that's the commitment of Reasons to Believe,
Right.
is to equip you with the best evidences.